Hello, this is Dave Garber. I'm here with the Faith Community Daily Bread, and today is usually the Corona Cookbook, but today we're going to be doing the Corona Kitchen Garden, I guess. So I'll wait and see if anybody's signs up. Michelle, are you on? Are you on? Is it going? Michelle's watching. Yay. I'll wait and see if there's anybody else who shows up. Tierney is on. Hello, Tierney. Just wait a couple more minutes.
The dogs are on.
Sargon and Tiamat are here. Well, Sargon's here. I don't know where Tiamat is right now. Shall I wait a little bit more?
Get started.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started so we can have the video, and before more rain comes in. We got a little bit of a light sprinkle here, but I thought I'd share a little bit about what we do with our family garden. I know a lot of people right now are thinking about food and where their food sources are, where their food's coming from. I know a lot of people are thinking about the best way to get some fresh fruit and vegetables, and are just really paying attention to food sourcing right now. So we started gardening about 4 years ago, and I was inspired by a couple of friends and colleagues of mine, and we started out with just some containers and just doing a little salsa garden with peppers and tomatoes, and we kind of got addicted, and it grew from there. No pun intended. If Grayson's watching, don't let him hear that part. So one of the things that we started out with, I'm going to switch the camera angle now, and so you can see the garden here. But we started out just planting in little 5-gallon containers like this. And one of the things we did was we just kind of filled this back patio with a bunch of containers, and did a tomato or two or a tomato in each container and a pepper in each container, and just kind of started from there. And once I got into gardening, we started to kind of get larger containers like this wine barrel. And then I think the next year I built some boxes for the raised container. And so I saw Pamela said you wanted a garden so bad. Well, one of the things that's great about container gardening is you can have one if you find a place around your apartment or in your house where you get a lot of sun. You can grow one tomato or a pepper in each 5-gallon container. The key is to have enough sun for whatever you're growing. So if you don't have a lot of sun, if you don't have a lot of sun on a patio or something like that, you can still grow some things like some herbs or some leafy greens or things like that that don't need much. I thought I just did show the bag, didn't I? So this is the 5-gallon bag. And we don't have anything planted in it yet. That's kind of our reserve when we find some other things to plant. So, like I said, we just kind of grew from there. And I usually use like a square foot gardening method, where you can grow a lot in a small amount of space. So we built these boxes with just some just some 2x4s, or I guess those are 2x4s, or no, I guess they're 2x8s, and then just started kind of utilizing our space more. We only have about 10 feet by 5 feet of garden space, but we're able to grow a lot of plants here. And we just planted our garden out yesterday. And then I guess another thing I'd talk about is, of course, Michelle planted some flowers here. These are some of the containers we started out with. But of course, you want some flowers here for whenever you're trying to attract pollinators for your garden. So we kind of line the front of the garden with flowers to attract pollinators and also to make it look a little bit neater, and then put most of our vegetables in the back. Most of the time we grow peppers and tomatoes. We've grown some other things. We've grown squash and zucchini, and we've grown beans and those kinds of things. But this year we're going back to our standards with squash and zucchini. So we have that space over here, and then we have another 2x4 foot box right here, and another wine barrel. And just to share some of our failures as well as our successes, this is an apple tree. It used to have 2 friends in that box, but those 2 friends died. So this apple tree probably will never fruit, but it was still alive and pretty, so we just kept it there. So yesterday we planted 21 tomatoes and about 15 pepper plants. So here we have our 2 poblano peppers in the back, and then 3 jalapeno peppers in the front there. And then we have 2 types of sweet peppers here with the apple tree in 1 wine barrel. And then we go over here and we've got 3 more. I think these are Hungarian hot peppers here in this wine barrel. And then we put most of the tomatoes back in these boxes here. So we've got a lot of different kinds of tomatoes. We like a lot of variety. And we have, most of the ones here will bear larger fruit. But then we have the 3 cherry tomatoes in the back part of this corner of the garden over here, and then in front of those we have 3 more sweet peppers. So yes, we like spicy food a lot. And in front of all of these, you see there's kind of a blank row in front of all of those. That is where Michelle planted some nasturtium. If you don't know what nasturtium are, they are nice. It's basically a nice green with pretty flowers, and both the greens and the flowers are edible. And so you can use those it's almost like a spicy arugula in a salad if you plant those. So this is an experiment that we're still working on, but we have a garden tower here, and there are different ways. We bought this maybe 2.5 years ago, and there are different ways to use it. Right now we're using it primarily for our herb garden. So we've got a couple kinds of oregano in there planted at the top. We have the only survivor from last season is this Swiss chard, which we use here, and we use it as a substitute for lettuce a lot when we're making tacos and that kind of thing, because it holds up well in both cool and hot weather. So that's kind of the tower, and we planted some seeds throughout the tower. We're going to see how that works this year. And just about, an hour ago, we discovered that it's not only a garden tower, it's also a birdhouse. So down here, let's see if I can find it. There's a little bird nest, and I don't know if you'll be able to see them or not, but there are 3 little birdies in there, 3 little baby birds in there. So we're going to try not to bother them as we garden throughout the year. So on this back row, I've got more types of peppers. Most of the peppers I grow, not peppers, tomatoes. Most of the tomatoes that I grow are heirloom type, just because we like the flavor and variety and color. And these small plants will probably get to about that height, about 6 feet to 8 feet tall. So I kind of am particular about my tomato plants, and I do a little tomato bonsai pruning. So I come out here and prune these a lot, because you want to make sure, especially in humid weather like we're having today, that all of the tomatoes have and the leaves have room to breathe, so you don't have a lot of diseases and that kind of thing. So this is our last row over here of tomatoes. And then we've got another wine barrel back there, and we're probably going to put sweet potatoes back there. If you think, oh, I've never grown anything and I kill everything. Last season we had we didn't do well with our garden last season, but we did plant some sweet potatoes in this wine barrel, and they just went crazy, and were very low maintenance. So we just planted the potatoes, and the vines just grew, and we just kind of arranged them where they were looking okay. And by the fall, we had, what was it, about 2 or 3 or 4 pounds of sweet potatoes that we then were able to cure. So that's kind of what we do with our garden. We've grown beans in the past in that back box, and just let them grow up those poles. And if you have very little horizontal space, if you have some vertical space, beans are a great thing to grow if you have enough sunshine for those. So we've found out that this kind of helps us get in touch with our food, kind of know what's going on with, how things are planted. Gives us a lot more appreciation for the people who plant and harvest our food and bring it to the table, and it's something that we've just kind of enjoyed over the past few years, and it's something that I think a lot of us could do, even if you don't have a sunny patio window or anything like that. You could probably plant an indoor herb garden with basil or parsley or some smaller leafy herbs that you can keep in the kitchen, just to kind of remind yourself. Oh, and by the way, there's Mama Bird coming back. Just to remind yourself of where our food comes from and what it takes to cultivate it. I've never had so much appreciation for our people who are farming and our essential workers right now, just for helping get food on the table. So again, you don't have to start very big. You can just start with a couple of containers with your favorite types of tomatoes or peppers, and go from there. So I'm looking at the chat. Were there any questions?
I don't think so.
There's our grill. Well, it is starting to rain a little bit harder now, so I am going to sign off. Also, one thing I want to say is there are a couple of local farms if you're here in the Atlanta area, and I'm sure there are in some other areas that are basically doing curbside orders, where you can order whatever plants you want and they'll bring it to the curb, bring it straight to your car. We picked up most of our plants yesterday from Love is Love Farm, and they just brought it out and put it in the tailgate of our truck, and we just drove on after we just did the online order. So there are ways you can do some of this while we're in the midst of this shelter in place. So I hope you can take advantage of it if you're able. If not, then you'll just try to pick up some herbs at a local home supply store or something, and just start small. Jacoby, I just saw that you need some arugula in your life. I remember Jacoby's growing experience with arugula in one of my classes, so it's good to hear from you, Jacoby. So anyway, I'm going to sign off because it's starting to rain. So take care. Tomorrow's Daily Bread is homily, so I hope you tune in to that at 6:30, and I'm signing off.